Are you guys ready to do this?
No.
Oh, wait, hold up.
Oh my God, John, could you be any less ready?
How you done? Welcome, everybody, to the Slash or Smash podcast. I'm John, and with me, as always, is Matt and Tiffany.
Hey, fuckers!
So much excitement for a man that's tired as fuck. How are you two doing?
I'm doing amazing.
I don't know, from the movies we just watched. I don't know, man.
I just watched two of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yep, Matt is definitely overtired.
Matt must have ripped a line of coke while we took a break between this, because holy shit, did you just turn from 6 to midnight?
I did, and I did not leave the seat, so...
Too bad no one was recording. We'll never have it on record.
He finally farted. He was holding it for that whole time.
Anyway.
All right, this month we watched Beneath the Darkness and Feardotcom. What did you guys think? Do you want to jump into it? Should we do a summary and all that?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll start with, I have Beneath the Darkness up right now, and we watched that first. So it's a real brief one. It just says, after watching their best friend get murdered, a group of teens struggle to expose a local hero as the vicious killer and keep from becoming his next victims.
No, that's pretty much the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start, Matt? We'll get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, this is about exciting as... fuck. I don't know.
There's not even an analogy.
Me trying to read. I don't know. It was not good. It was very, very dull. I'm overtired right now. That made me even worse. And...
Way to go, John. Why don't we start with the most boring one, you fuck?
I will point out one thing that bugged the hell out of me and I didn't talk about until now. They didn't even... It pretty well tracked, but they didn't touch base on one of the main things, which was that dollar that was in the first guy that he killed. He pulled out this dollar, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they dig him up at the end, and there's blood on it, okay? There's some sort of blood on it. It almost looks like, if you go back and you see the clip, it almost looks like there's some sort of writing on that dollar. Almost like he tried to spell out the guy's name or something, right? But they never even fucking talked about it.
I honestly believe that dollar was there because it's the final thing you see as he's in the casket dying. And I honestly think it was just so you would remember who the hell was in the casket when he opened it. I really think that's all that was.
You could have left the dollar bill out because I think everyone would have speculated. Yeah. Oh God, that was the guy he threw in there from the beginning of the movie.
They fucking explained the whole thing.
Yeah, that is the point where he's like, that's why I killed this bitch 2 years ago, because this happened, and it's like, okay.
Could have just left his Argyle sweater, like, mildly intact or something.
No, maggots eat that shit. I don't know what maggots actually eat.
It's a sealed coffin. It didn't look like anything even got in there, but there wasn't enough bad about this film, and there wasn't enough good about this film to even remotely make it interesting. That's the problem. It was just fuck awful. It was a waste of my time, and I appreciate you taking an hour and a half from me, John. I really fucking... I would have wasted it anyways, I'm sure, but...
My goal in life is to waste as much of your life as I can, and that's why I started this podcast.
Can we at least do it in a bar?
Season 3 in a bar.
Let's set a goal before we bring that out, okay?
Yeah, our goal is season 3 in a bar. I don't know if you were listening.
To drink every day, just like that one guy in the other movie. But
Tiff, what were your thoughts on Beneath the Darkness?
It was. I agree with Matt. It was so ungodly slow. Like I think these writers were trying to develop these characters, or at least give us enough information to figure out the characters of this movie. But they went way too long. I think we were like 45 minutes in before shit started actually happening. It was
if
just...
it was even that short.
Well, that's fair enough. It just... Like, I understand setting characters up, but these characters did not need a lot of setup. They're high school kids. There's a small group of friends, which Matt even pointed out as we were watching the movie that they didn't even do the cliche right because one of the kids was a head quarterback. Last I checked, every other cliche, the group of friends is like 6, 7, 8 people. This is a group of 4 people. And one of them being the female, who we weren't even sure if she was dating the quarterback.
She was a slut.
Because she was hanging out with the quarterback.
All right, enough about Tiffany.
And then... Bitch. Fuck out.
Let's not talk about our old high school days, all right? Moving on.
Yeah, no, it was really slow. Thank God they connected, because they opened it up with him killing someone. At least it wasn't just one that was like, oh yeah, he killed that guy just because he's a fucking psychopath and serial killer.
Yeah, I mean...
Which I'm glad they did that.
Yeah.
It tracked, right? It did track.
It tracked.
It did track.
I'm not a huge fan of the whole, did it because it's a psychological problem, because he's crazy. It's kind of a cop-out.
Well, his mind broke because his wife cheated on him.
But do we know if that's the actual cause that broke him?
Well, that's what it sounded like.
I get what you're saying, and it's weird because they went with the cliche popular kids in school, but they never interacted with anybody else. So they really could have gone with the cliche loner kids, kind of losers in school.
Yeah, I think that would have helped. And, at least if they were the loner kids and the loser, rejects, at least we would have been able to find some common ground with those characters and relate.
I think they needed to come up with a better reason as to why the kids wanted to break into the mortician's house so bad.
Yeah, that was a very vague reasoning.
Come up with a better reason. Maybe make it like it's close to Halloween and you dare them to break in there.
Yeah, the whole basis of them breaking into the morticianer's house is literally because they saw lights on, and it wasn't regular lights, it was like a white light, it was weird. But they saw him with another person, and they're like, well, he lives alone, that's weird.
I think they could have set it up better by having, like, people around town that have wronged him, like the mechanic when he said, how come every time I bring my car to you, it's $1,500? If he would have killed him for some reason.
There was nothing else about that. That was it.
No.
It was literally just to make sure that the van wasn't there that night.
To solidify that you knew that it wasn't going to be there.
Who the fuck needed that?
That's so stupid because we never got to figure out on the second time they went back to break in. They saw the car drive off. We never saw who got in. So we don't know if he got someone to drive the van off and take it somewhere, or if he took the van, went around the block and came in like a back way or hidden when the kids, like even Abby didn't even see the car or van pull up. How did the morticianer get back?
And then he punched her and knocked her out for 45 minutes, which is how that works. And then put her in a box where she came to. She was making noise while the cop was sitting right above it.
By making noise, she did a groan or two. It wasn't even...
He was knelt down right by it. There's no reason he wouldn't have heard that.
Do you realize how deep in thought he was about the fucking tomato garden plant thing? Okay? He was really in depth thinking, like, how does that work?
Also, the concept of killing the first kid in general, killing, what was his name, Danny, I want to say, or something?
Danny, yeah.
Killing him in general. Okay, let's just point this out. He knows that he can hide his wife's body. He did that. They couldn't find it. So why would he kill Danny?
Plot.
I think it was to try to, again, he's also a psychopath, so who knows?
Well, okay, that's easy to say,
but it could also be a fact of sending a message to the other kids. Like, I just killed your friend in front of you, and I literally told the cops, you guys are fucking psycho crazy, and they listened to me.
Like I said, it tracked, it just was boring as fuck.
It was super boring.
It's like playing Oregon Trail and having nobody die of dysentery, or at all.
Right? Okay, so Travis, who is basically like one of the main characters in this movie, so his sister died. Why was that such a big thing with his sister? They made it like he saw this like weird aura thing next to his sister's bed, and they never go on about it after that.
Actually forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Legitimately forgot all about that. There was no reason for that to be written into the story.
I would have loved it if they would have X-nayed that whole scene and Erin died because the fucking morticianer killed her.
Oh, that would have been good.
That, you could have tied that in. Travis could have been like, wait, that's my sister's, or caught some connection because he was mowing the morticianer's lawn. So, like, what's to stop you from, Travis is being a pesky little high schooler, pokey nosy, and see something that he remembers Erin had, or something of Erin's, and then that leads him to be like, I gotta go into this guy's house and figure something out. He had to have done something with Erin. Like,
that's a way better connection.
Fuck, let's write it and do it.
I think that's the most unrealistic thing in this movie. How long it takes to dig out a fucking grave. It takes a long fucking time. Let me tell you how long it takes.
Matt's done this.
And none of them are sweating.
Matt's a pro.
And it's
the dude in the
ass-busting
Argyle
work.
vest sweater did it without breaking a sweat.
And I don't care if that soil is loose or if it isn't. I don't give a shit. To dig a hole that big, trust me, it takes a long fucking time. You're talking at the very least, a half a day with 2 people.
Yeah, I think they used the fact that they had fresh dirt. I think they used that a little bit too loosely, because I understand that you just dug them up because there was a funeral, a day ago? It wasn't even the same day. It was at least a day or 2 later.
But the second time when the young kid was digging it up, it took him a half an hour, I guess. Let's just say that. And that was settled.
He's very buff. Which
makes me giggle that it took Abby a half hour to get out of her duct tape that she had already gotten her hands.
That whole movie timing was way off. Pace was horrid.
Again, the last 20 minutes of this movie was where all the fucking action was.
When they started fucking with him and turning shit on him because he's crazy, that was about when it started to get decent.
Which is the last 10 minutes.
But then you realize she stole that gown off of his dead wife, so his dead wife is laying naked in a van. I'm assuming they took that van back into town to get the cops, but there's still a naked dead body in the back.
They walked back, because I don't think either of them had their license.
Well, I know Brian did, because he had a fucking sweet El Camino.
Brian did and Danny did. Those are the only 2 that we actually physically in the movie saw driving. We never saw Abby and Travis drive, so we have no idea if they actually had their license or not.
I do thoroughly approve of them burying the guy and then coming back for him later.
I do like that they gave him a taste of his own medicine. That was nice.
And I like the fact that the kid was fucking with his head at the end. That was kind of cool, too.
I will admit, I like the fact that the doctor didn't believe the bullshit story about getting his belly scratched on rebar. He's like, dude, I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
I know a fucking gunshot. I was like, okay. So not everybody is stupid in this show. I get it. All right, cool.
Yeah, all the law enforcement was. But the doctors, them doctors know what they're doing down there.
They didn't even make the dead wife look creepy either. Like, they missed the mark on so much of this. It was just boring and flat.
I wish the corpse would have been more decrepit. So the beginning of the movie starts off with him killing the one guy, and then it zips 2 years later. So his wife is already dead in the beginning. I think it was, I don't know, it had to have been a little bit of time. It was still fresh, because the one guy had said, hey, I'm sorry for your loss, kind of thing. So I think the murder or the passing of his wife was fairly early in the beginning, but then you have 2 years. I don't care how much embalming fluid and shit like that. I played the mortuary's assistant. I don't care how much shit you do. There's still stuff that's going to decay and get decrepit, and they could have made it more gross looking.
I guess. But I mean, taxidermists, you look at how long their stuff lasts.
He's a mortician, Matt, not a taxidermist.
He had YouTube back then.
Barely. Have you seen the second movie we watched?
This movie was basically on par with like a straight-to-TV Lifetime movie.
It's not a terrible movie.
I wouldn't go that far.
Hold on.
You better finish that sentence.
It's not
soon.
like a worst movie, but if you're looking for a horror movie, it's fucking terrible. But if you're looking for just a movie to watch, it's
still terrible.
It's still terrible, but it's not.
It's like an unsuspenseful drama-ish. I don't even know how to go much more.
I don't even know how to go.
Dennis Quaid. The fact that Dennis Quaid signed on for this is shocking to me.
Yeah, but I bet you the script sounded better than how the movie actually turned out. Like, that initial script reading, like, when he auditioned for it, probably was a better, more appealing... It sounded better, but then as it actually went, he was probably like, son of a bitch, my career's gonna die. Which, how it didn't, I don't know.
As it should have. Do you guys want to move on to Fear.com, or do you have more to say about Beneath the Boredom?
I don't think there's much more to talk about on that, to be honest.
No, and honestly, I will forget everything about Beneath the Darkness by probably tomorrow or the day after. It's going to be that unforgettable.
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to forget the curb stomp.
I ain't going to get into logistics of that. All right, Fear.com. When 4 bodies are discovered amongst the industrial decay and urban grime of New York City, brash young detective Mike Riley, Stephen Dorr, teams with ambitious Department of Health researcher Terry Houston, Natasha McElhone, to uncover the cause behind their violent and inexplicable deaths. The only common factor shared by the victims? Each died exactly 48 hours after logging on to Feardotcom.
Yeah, Feardotcom.
I know it sounds like I repeated by myself, but it's actually called Feardotcom.
Yeah, that's really weird.
They were engaged on the case before 4 bodies were found. There was the 2 Germans, and then her boss.
I don't know about that first part.
And the computer girl, I guess, but they were way in the case by then.
Anyway, you get the synopsis. It's very weird, muddled.
By fucking lighting is all I have to say about this fucking movie. It is so goddamn dark. And I get that was the time. This checks all the boxes, though.
It does.
Like, some sort of technology. There's a certain amount of time that you have until you die after participating in said technology. It's really dark. They worked in insects. There were boobs. Rammstein.
Yeah, there are a lot.
It did help.
The boobs are Rammstein.
I think you know the answer to that, John.
It also doesn't take long to get to the boobs. They're pretty quick. We forgot about the train guy. That was the 4th body.
Oh, yeah,
the train
that's
guy.
right.
Remember the guy?
Yeah. The guy who invented the internet.
What?
That's what they said. They were like, when they met with his partner in the bar,
guy that
he was like,
believed he could make supercomputer energy things.
Yeah.
I don't think creating the internet is the correct terminology, John.
They got together and they're like, what if we connected all the computers together and made a supercomputer?
Okay, but they had the computers. The computers were there. He was just making a concoction about the whole supermind computer, not individual.
The man claimed he never left the bar. I'm not really buying in wholeheartedly to everything he says. Clearly has a problem.
Are you kidding me? When they first saw him, there was a woman that came out from under the table. He did not leave that bar, ever.
That's true. Blowjobs and booze. What more do you want?
Also, the way he was sitting, wouldn't you have saw her head?
She might have just been passed out, too.
It was so dark, it was hard to see.
Yeah.
Every plot hole. It was so dark, couldn't see it.
There's so much wrong with this movie.
John, you go!
It starts with a subway. Again, you found the one and only isolated subway station in all of grimy New York City, and also the one where the train does not stop. Also, when you were dodging the train, you were out of the way. You didn't have to move anymore. You chose to then walk in front of it.
But we realized that there was a lot of hallucinating later on in the film, so contribute that to his death.
Fair.
Yeah, we never got... The most we got to see was the fact that it was like a weird paranoia thing. Like, he couldn't sit still. Like, because he did. He was up against the wall, and there was enough distance, he was back off, where the train could have passed, and he would have been safe. But I think the paranoia and the hallucinations he was seeing prompted him to jump out and be like, I can make it! And then, done.
Also, the amount of, like, movie filters and special effects with the way it's shot.
Anyone who's got motion sickness, don't watch this movie.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. This is... It was kind of that time period, though.
Yeah.
There was a lot, too, where, like, the website, the being killed on the website, the death site, it seemed like a completely separate killer than the Fear.com site.
It was a separate killer.
Like, it felt disconnected to me.
It was connected, but in a really shoddy way. That's why I'm not a fan of the ending. They did a really lazy writing with the ending. Like, so the killer is known as the Doctor. He's the one who actually tortures these, who seems to be women, until they beg for death. And then when he finally gets them to say, yes, kill me, he kills them. And then the Fear.com killer is separate. It's an entity. It's a soul that was so hell-bent on getting revenge that it took over a website, in which case it then killed people. It doesn't make sense if all she wanted was revenge on the person who killed her, which she knows who killed her. Everyone fucking knew. Even Stephen Dwarf's character, the fucking detective, was like, this guy's been evading me for 9 months or whatever, and he just keeps fucking disappearing without a trace. And yet, she kills random people. Like, it's not even the fact of, help me to find my killer and I'll spare you. It's literally, here's all your fears, now I'm gonna kill you in 48 hours. Have fun, bitch!
I'm confused on that. So, like, is the Fear.com his site?
No. Well, actually,
yes. That's where you go to watch the killing.
I don't think they ever said that, because whenever they went to the Fear.com, all you saw was her, the Janine person, going through, and it was always her killing stuff. I don't think we ever saw any of the other women that were getting tortured. It was her torturing that they would see.
So it was one of the sites. It was one of the sites then that he jumped from.
It might have been that might have been her initial, like that was the website he used to kill her. Okay. Because remember, Stephen Dwarf said he kept jumping from site to site because they couldn't trace him. So he never had an actual, like, locked in, here's my website, this is where you go to find it. He kept jumping. So I think the fear.com.com, that's how they're linked.
But where does the fear come from? He didn't torture these girls with their worst fears.
He was talking about the instilling of fear. I don't remember. It was on one of his rants when he was first torturing that fucking blonde chick that he picked up.
He talked about the intimacy of fear.
I don't actually know how to connect what the doctor was doing versus what Janine went through and how she came up with the whole, I'm going to use fear to kill you people.
I don't know. It's kind of dumb.
We literally got nothing from Janine except for the fact that Stephen Dwarf was like, it was his first victim. Great. So you're telling me out of all the victims that he supposedly had, Janine was the one who had the biggest fucking need for revenge? Like, everyone else just passed on because they're like, okay, I died, yay, move on.
Well, I don't know. They said she was his favorite. I don't really know how that translates to her coming back for revenge.
They didn't go into detail about her torture either. Like, they didn't even talk about her body except for when they brought her up and said she was opened up or whatever, because that's how he killed her. And that's all they talked about. They didn't do anything else about how she was tortured. They didn't show any clips of his recordings as to how he tortured her.
This is where I have a lot of problem, too. So they go meet with her mom, Janine's or Jenny's or whatever, and she's like, you find out she's a hemophiliac, and if she even gets a scratch, she could die, which then they were like, yeah, we let her play down at the old abandoned steel mill, which you're like, are you the shittiest parent to ever exist? How do you torture a hemophiliac if even a slight scratch could kill them?
Yeah, they mentioned nothing about her torture, so we have no idea. Like, okay, so... Great. Is that why she's in all white as a little girl? Like, because she's like hemophiliac? Like, what the fuck?
Is that how that works? Do hemophiliacs have like all white hair?
Apparently.
They made her seem albino.
No, if they wanted to put more information about Janine, we should have learned that from the doctor. The doctor should have based it like he should, because John's right. The doctor even said she was my favorite. Okay, so why are we not getting flashbacks of her torture? Why are we not seeing why she... No.
Those shit, they're weird and they're fucking odd and they're like an art project, but it fucking... I guess those were flashbacks.
Plus, how did the lipstick get in there with the note? We were never verified. Why would the doctor do that? It couldn't have been Janine, because Janine was like fucking tied up every time. Either that or she was probably too fucking weak from torture to even move. Janine could not have done that.
Did they find it on her body?
They found it in her gut. She might have swallowed it, but fuck, how the fuck do you swallow it? I don't know.
They took lazy ways around it. It was the same ending as One Missed Call, where it's like, now that's going to get flipped on you and the ghost is going to kill you quick, which the ghost could have just done anyways. Nothing was released where the ghost was like, okay, now I can kill you because I know who you are. It's like, no, you were always there.
But they didn't even give closure, because here what I thought they were going to do is once she got her revenge, she was just going to move on, go away. But then all of a sudden, she gets a phone call and there's nothing but static on the other line.
I'm assuming the phone call was Mike. I'm going to stick with that.
Mike's the new fear.com.com.
I think it was just his way of his energy coming through the lines so he could just hear her one more time or something, because they fell in love in the 23 minutes they knew each other.
Way to be, John. I didn't even give him that fucking option of how that went.
I don't know. Their romance blossomed way quicker than anything else that I've ever known. The timing in this, or like
pacing?
How much... Yeah, pacing and how much time passes between each one. It seemed like Denise died in like a half a day. Like it was really hard to tell a lot of what was going on plot-wise and in the scenes.
It was too dark. Couldn't see.
This movie was terrible, but this was a better horror movie than the other one. And that's, I know we're just kind of jumping straight to that, but this is my vote. The other one is a worse horror movie because Not a whole lot of horror that goes with it.
I'm stuck at the same decision as I was the previous episode.
I'll tell you my thoughts on this particular film, because it's like, boy, this reminds me of a lot of this interesting stuff reminds me of like going out in my early 20s and getting drunk in really shitty downtown areas and whatnot. And I started just realizing all the weird shit you kind of see. You know, that the shit that just doesn't make any sense. Obviously, I didn't see any torture, maybe, when I was
there. You remember.
Yeah, I remember. It had that weird, fucked up feeling that you get, especially when you're first going to all those crazy-ass places. But I will say that for us to watch in the order that we did, probably gave this movie the best light it could, because it was actually something that was semi-exciting. It had intrigue to it.
Yeah, this one didn't have this whole opening of 45 minutes of just, here's your characters, here's what they do. This literally jumped right into the fucking action, like, hey, whoa, we're starting right away.
That's the first time anybody ever said this movie had the best light.
Yeah, probably. I think that it missed the mark on a lot of different logical pathways, and I think it missed opportunities. And what I mean by that is I think what should have happened, instead of some bullshit fucking stupid love interest, it should have been the opposite way. Dorf should have been a fucking asshole piece of shit of a cop. Should have turned it on that, where the two of them do not get along. They hate each other's guts by the end of this whole thing. And she is just pissed off at him. Like, he's left her in life or death situations just hanging. All this fucking anger is built up, and at the end of it, she wins. She gets to find her, this person, this spirit, right? And the whole concept was, if you win, you get me. That was the game. That was the rule she set, which in turn would have put her spirit into her, and she would go along starting to kill people in this manner. Okay. That would have been very fucking cool. The doctor, yeah. That would have been her first victim, and that would have continued on. That would have been very cool.
This is just one missed call. I'm realizing this now. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yeah.
It is. And that's how most early technological movies seem to pan out, all the same.
It's all chain layer bullshit, and it's just overplayed. It's overplayed, it's done with, let's move on.
Well, you gotta remember, this was also 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how many movies did they make of the same fucking thing, like you just said?
Quick, everybody, flashback to Cabin Fever.
You could say that's overdone, too. The teenagers going out to the cabin to party.
It is.
Why not? It's just, there's tropes for a reason, but you still can do them good.
Well, yeah, Matt literally just took that movie and said, do this, one little change here. Whole different fucking movie that runs with the same tropes.
You incorporate a love scene that there didn't need to be there. You already got the tits action from messed up fucking torture porn, which is
I'm pretty sure almost every woman except for that main chick showed boobs. Like at one point.
That's true.
It definitely seems like it. And I will say this, I'm happy they started taking this to a really big creep factor. It actually did make me nervous, because I was like, I don't really want to see this get to a point where I'm literally witnessing the concept of torture. You're going down a very dark path. But they stopped before it got to there.
I would have been okay if they would have showed at least a little torture.
Like if they would have cut a nipple off with the scissors
I don't.
Or something?
No, but like when he had her like with her back open, I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
They could have showed some pain, yeah.
They wouldn't have to show it, but lead up to it like, oh, that's what's going to happen. Oh, you fucking poor person. Holy shit.
It didn't have to be a tit falling off into your hand or something like Cabin Fever, or
a plate full of them like Frankenhooker.
Hey man, you guys, you like that one, John. Shut the fuck up.
I've watched it 3 times since. Amazing.
Oh god.
No, I agree. They could have did something. They could even did the thing where like they had the curtain up and you could see the shadow of him doing something back there or something. Just make it uneasy for them, but they didn't really play on that at all.
It was him monologuing is really what it was. It was just him monologuing the whole fucking time.
At least they killed Stephen Dorff at the end, so there was that.
I will say, at least Beneath the Darkness had the best one-liner ending. Love sucks.
If that was a fourth wall break, that is the worst one I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, it was a terrible wall breaker, but I just thought it was funny because all he is doing is yelling at the window like, I'm good, you can let me out now, I'm sane. And then it's just like, he just kind of gives up, and it's like, love sucks. It's like, that's not needed. Why would you do that?
I liked Wanted's fourth wall break. What the fuck have you done today?
Matt, what do you think? What's your vote?
Definitely the first boring piece of shit that we watched. I don't remember the name, and I'm not going to either because I choose not to. I'd rather watch a horror movie that starred Mr. Rogers as the fucking serial killer.
That would be everyone would watch the shit out of that.
That's really good. Let's do this.
Everyone would watch
Let's make this.
He opens the closet a little bit to change his sweater, but really there's just a body hanging behind the other half of it.
The fucking the land of make-believe is just human, like, corpses as puppets and shit.
Just so you know, people who are listening, this is all copyrighted, so fuck you.
Yeah, we called it.
This thing just writes itself.
Stay tuned, guys, in the next couple of months. Created by Matt and John.
Oh, Tiff's not even going to attach her name to this. That's how you know it's good. All right, Tiff, what's your vote?
I'm going to have to say Beneath the Darkness was just terrible.
So I will put this out right now, as I want to do it on a recording, that I do believe that Cabin Fever was the better of the horror movies. I let my anger get the best of me, and I voted for Cabin Fever, although in the end it doesn't really matter, because this is our shit. But Bless the Child is by far the worst, like, awful. I will come in with a cooler head this time, and I also agree that Beneath the Darkness was the worst horror movie. At least Fear.com checked the boxes of horror tropes, a lot of them.
If they wouldn't have done anything about fears and using your fears as what kills you, it probably would have been the worst movie compared to Beneath the Darkness. I mean, everyone has a fear. I don't care who you are. You have a fear of something. Don't fucking lie to yourself. You have a fear of something.
Money.
Just so you know, he said he was also fearful of big-boobed women, too, during the movie, so no, don't listen to John.
I am very afraid they yell at me.
No!
Mainly one of them, and I'm married to her. Also, I didn't mention this before, that there's a scene in Beneath the Darkness where they're sitting at the most dimly lit high school cafeteria ever for lunch, and the entire scene, which is probably 3, maybe 4 minutes long, the camera is spinning around the table. And it doesn't stop.
That's terrible.
If you're a cinematographer and you thought that was cool, fuck you.
You could have picked 2 angles and then just bloop, bloop, switch from time to time.
The spinning was way too much.
You use the spinning when there's a tense thing, like when there's something is about to happen, or something big is gonna go on. No, they were just fucking talking about breaking into this. That's all they were doing.
You spin like at the end of Alone in the Dark when Stephen Dorff realized that the problem was on a global scale.
Stephen Dorff didn't make it in the ending. Remember, he supposedly lived or something with that explosion. It's the other guy, Slater.
Well, who was the...
Slater!
Oh, yeah, Slater. Sorry, Slater was the one walking in the...
Yeah, Slater was the
city.
one with the chick that apparently made it.
Fuck, that sucked.
All right, so Beneath the... I keep wanting to say Benicio del Toro, but Beneath the Darkness moves on, because it's awful, and it kind of fits with all the rest that moved on so far. Except Cabin Fever. Next month, we have... Ooh, we're getting out of the first round, too. We have The Disappointments Room, so Tiffany's bedroom, versus The Haunting of Molly Hartley,
That's weird.
That's weird. Your mom's one that said it was The Disappointments Room.
No, I heard that many times, actually.
You guys got anything more to say?
Why the fuck do we keep doing this to ourselves?
Because John's a dick.
Because secretly I'm a serial killer and I love torture, and watching you guys scream for 4 to 5 hours every month, good enough for me.
Why do you think we're all dicks to you back? So, payback's a bitch, John.
Until I start my website, feardotcom.org.
I will say I like it better when John's angry in his rankings. His tits get sweaty.
Do you have like a camera that's lower at John's that you installed that we can see this? Because last I checked, John's usually like from here up.
Yeah, I sent it to Matt. It's my tit sweat cam.
And you guys can all watch that too for an added $5 on the monthly subscription.
Woo, guys, jump on that deal.
Go to our Patreon, John's Tits Sweat.
Don't forget, John, start collecting vials. We might be able to charge for that.
Oh.
Yeah, I could sell it to people. Matt can bottle his bath water, and I'll bottle my tit sweat.
And I will be the accountant.
Way to pick the easy job.
Someone's got to keep track of you fuckers.
I'm getting the hell out of here and try and figure out something to watch that makes me not hate being alive right now.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
That's
This
been a long day.
episode's going to be fucking off.